Hello and welcome to Media Week. Ahead on the show, we'll chat with Robin Foister on her digital media publishing business, The Carousel, over 12 months after launch. Plus, we'll hear about some new look websites and new digital apps on offer. But first, the announcement we've been anticipating. Foxtel has released its launch date for the iQ3 set-top box. It will be available on March 23rd, just a day before Netflix launches in Australia. It will include new features and innovations, including a start over and look back feature, as well as Wi-Fi connectivity. For more, co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Mediaweek, joins us now in studio as always. James, great to have your company.
Hi, Ingrid.
You've got the set-top box there with you.
Very exciting. Look, we had a look around in the warehouse before we came in. We were able to get our hands on one. Look, it's a bit smaller, a bit lighter than the old box. Fraction chunkier. Doesn't look very exciting now because it's not plugged in at all, but it lights up, nice little lights on the front. Out on Monday, another remote control, again a bit slimmer, a bit smaller. Big technological advances, of course. You can record a lot more channels than used to be on the old one.
Yep.
A much bigger hard drive, and interestingly comes out the day before Netflix.
Yeah, strategic timing there, right?
Yeah. Look, we don't know how much it's going to cost yet, so there will be some sort of charge. But I think Foxtel are going to make it easy. This is a great customer retention product for them. Look, they've been going really well, the price drop and all that sort of stuff. But for their long-term customers who take the full package, they're going to start getting told by Netflix, look, you can get Netflix for $12 a month, whatever it's going to be. They haven't revealed the exact pricing yet either, against your Foxtel bill. So it's things like this that are going to help keep those Foxtel customers locked in on them.
We've been asking all our guests about the date, so we finally got it, James.
Now we know.
Now, as we know, as you mentioned, Netflix launches next week. Have there been any other developments in the subscription video on demand space in the last week?
Yeah, look, lots of content announcements, you know. Both Stan and Presto have been pretty active. Stan have really been telling consumers about their offering for kids. They've got a great family package, if you like, so lots of children's viewing there. Presto have done a big deal with 20th Century Fox, so things like Modern Family, Homeland, a lot of series they're going to have. Some of them will be exclusive for a certain sort of window, and you can expect, I'm tipping a few more announcements either on Monday or on Tuesday, the day Netflix is here. We'll have a lot more on Netflix next week when a lot of the execs have been in the country.
We will have lots to talk about next week. All right, well, let's move on. It's been just over a year since The Carousel launched in Australia, a digital media publishing business that leverages branded content, knowledge and contacts of its leader, Robin Foister. She's former Bauer Media heavyweight, having worked in magazine publishing and television in the US, UK and Australia. That was all, of course, before she decided to leave old media behind and start her own digital media publishing business. And so The Carousel was born. Robin Foister joins us now in the studio for more. Robin, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Hi, Ingrid, how are you?
Good. So tell us about this, because obviously it would have been quite a risk, quite a financial risk as well, to launch this business.
Yeah, well, you know, when you're passionate about something, you know, you've got to put your money where your mouth is, and I think that's what happened. I sort of saw, you know, coming from very much the traditional media all my life. I was editor of Women's Weekly and publisher, as you mentioned, of about 8 magazines at Bauer, which was then ACP, and then I realised that there was a gap in the market, that not enough, and that there's an advantage about being first in market, and so being innovative and being able to be quick, and so I looked at what was happening with branded content and how it was, and I used to watch this show regularly to get all my information, doing my research, by the way, which helped enormously. And I looked at it and I thought, well, you know, there's a need to have an optimised site that's got experts from across multiple pillars, and that's when, you know, The Carousel was born. And plus, I decided to bring on a lot of the talent that I'd worked with over the years in television and magazines.
Robin, so tell us, after 12 months, how's it been going? Day one, you wouldn't have had any customers, I guess. 12 months later, how big's your audience?
Actually, can I tell you, day one we crashed. We had so many people that came on the site.
Not a bad problem to have.
Yeah. But it was a big learning from the beginning. In fact, I think I've learnt more in the last year than I have in the last 12 years. But such is the way with in such a fast-moving area such as digital. But you know, we've grown really quickly, and I think that's because, you know, we listen to our audience. We have a highly engaged female audience, skewing from age from 25 to 55, and we produce video content across multiple pillars, so health, beauty, fashion, home, food, and we produce a lot of snackable video content, how-tos, which are very popular. You can see that on YouTube.
What about the competition in the space? Because this is obviously, we've seen quite a few sort of former magazine people starting up, starting online digital sites. What's it like in terms of competition?
You know, there's a lot of dynamic female publishers, small publishers such myself, and obviously the bigger ones. You know, you've seen Mia, obviously, from and what Jackie Maxted's created is incredible, you know, on Home Heaven and Beauty Heaven, and she's just been bought out by Bauer. So there is a lot of competition, but what's interesting is that in magazines, my old world in magazines, it was very like this. You didn't share, it was very, very, very competitive. And what we do now, it's all about sharing, it's all about collaboration. So we've just got a collaboration and a partnership with Car Advice where, you know, they can tap into the women's lifestyle experts that we have on the carousel, and and we're working together. So it is about, and that's what makes the site. That's how we market the site, is by collaborating.
So all your content's free, right? There's no paywalls or anything. It's all free to visit.
Yeah,
right? No premium content. So how do you make your money? So it's all sponsorship, partnerships.
So there's two things: the carousel consumer-facing business, which we've been talking about, but we also have a B2B side of the business because, as you know, lots of big brands are now publishers in their own right, and like we produce content for a lot of retailers. As well, so we obviously derive income from that. Branded content, we've been working with everyone from Priceline. We produced Bethany Motors' video when she came to Australia for Westfield. We've been working with Disney. We've been working with Breville. A huge amount of different clients that we do branded content with.
Do you take that on yourself, or do you have people that look for deals for you? How does that work?
Yeah, so I signed with Inception Digital, which was a fantastic move. They look after 65 premium publishing sites and have a reach and amplify content to 4 to 5 million women. So through their network, we can really, you know, push out our content and do very bespoke deals that are very highly targeted to the right audience. And we know that women are the crucial decision makers in the household, and that's our target.
Are you reinvesting a lot of the income you're making back into the business?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we've got a relaunch happening in May, and we've been able to look at the learnings over the last year, and our aim is very much to push our mobile video traffic. And so you'll see the site that we're working on development at the moment, where we will be putting, instead of a trending site, we're going to have just video content, so that we can separate our articles from our videos, so that, you know, the videos are right there. And we're going to even have on our giving away all my secrets. That's
what we like.
Yeah. That's why I watch this program, I tell you. Anyway, so I might as well. So we, for instance, will have on our mobile site, and we're building it for mobile, a toggle, so you'll switch straight. You'll just have a complete video feed and a complete article feed.
It's great. When's that relaunch happening?
May.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we're working really hard on that.
You work with a lot of people used to work with in magazines, I think, relationships you had back then. Yeah. They're now in the digital space. But magazines, is there going to be a place for them in the future, do you think? Or are their futures going to be digital too?
Well, it will, and it is now, but I think that the ones that evolve and innovate, that's the key thing that they need to do, because, you know, you're seeing double-digit declines in magazines. But, you know, I was the editor of Women's Weekly. That magazine's been going for 85 years, and it's a very different magazine than it is now. And same with Women's Day. And the oldest magazine, of course, I edited as well, was New Idea. That began in 1905. They've evolved, and so then if they continue to do that, they'll survive. And wouldn't it be awful? Wouldn't the world be awful if we didn't have magazines?
You've got a lot of contributors from all sorts of magazines. Can you tell us, I mean, has that been quite a significant investment of yours, just investing in the contributors to the website?
Absolutely, and you know, what was wonderful is, and I've sort of been humbled by this, because I think people like people having a crack, and so from the moment that there was publicity, there was a big piece in the Australian early on about me bringing on board all the former editors of Madison, Grazia,
yes.
Cosmo. I mean, and I think since then...
Well, it was a good time to get them on.
Well, yeah. I was the publisher of those magazines, so I knew who the talent was out there, so I was able to sort of cherry pick the best. And I think that as they walk out those doors, I'm on speed dial because they're, at the end of the day, we're all journalists producing, we're all content experts, and you want to produce content where the eyeballs are, and they're moving and they're on digital.
You mentioned before mobile. The relaunch will have a big focus on mobile. Is that how most people are engaging with the carousel now?
So that's increasing at the moment. It's 35% of our market is through mobile. I would like to see that increase above 50% after the changes. Absolutely. Yeah.
And do you think there's enough revenue out there for new and established players in the market?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that it's all about. I mean, this whole area of branded content and making sure that it's authentic to the audience. That's what's going to resonate, and that's going to be what's best with brands. So, providing they do a good job at that, and we work really hard at that to actually produce content that actually works for our audience, because then it's going to best work for the brand's audience.
And I was going to say what's next, but obviously the relaunch in May, is all the focus on e-commerce going forward?
Yeah, so we produced our first beauty bag, the Carousel beauty bag, and you'll see more of that, and more retail. We're building out a retail platform, which is exciting, and that gives employers, advertisers, the opportunity to sample products, and obviously, gives us a chance to do branded content around the beauty bags that we're doing as well.
Sounds like she's doing well.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm on a roll. No, I think it's such an exciting space to be in, and it's changing all the time. And I've been in media for a very long time, too long to mention. But there's something that's so immediate and now about of this, and it's new media. It's a different world, and journalists' skill sets are different too. The magazine editors that work with me, they've got to be good on TV now. They've got to diversify and understand digital.
And that's a whole other conversation, but Robin, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Robin Foister there, publisher of The Carousel. We do have to take a quick break on Media Week. Coming up next, though, why Nine is selling its historic Willoughby headquarters and the TV ratings for week 11. Stick around.